much as I want to hear other people's stories and journeys because it like invigorates me.
Yeah.
I'm very distracted by this beautiful cat.
Oh, that's my cat. My kitty. Hi, Buzz. Get in
What
here,
a
Mr.
beautiful
Buzz.
kitty.
Mr. Buzz.
Sweet. Welcome back. Hi, everybody. It's Art Night Live TV. And I'm here with a very special guest today, Miss Shela Yu.
Hello.
AKA Shell Shaker. I saw that little thing that you did, and you go by a few monikers, right?
Well, mostly just Shell Shaker.
Okay.
Is the moniker.
Okay.
I was born Shela Yu, but yeah, Shell Shaker is what I go by.
Beautiful. So, Shela is an amazing, amazing, talented artist here in Phoenix. I mean, muralist, painter, just in general, also performance art.
Yes.
Is that how you would describe what you do?
I do. Performance art, poetry, dance.
Yeah.
I try to do a little bit of everything. I think it's really important to get all of the expressive forms out there.
Mm-hmm.
You
Just
know?
express away.
Yeah. You know, life is crazy, and I think it's important to have ways to process all that we take in, especially in like a world where it's like, you know, we call this the information age, and in order for me to process all the information that comes through my brain, I have to like get it out through my hands or my voice or my body.
I love that. I love that. And actually, one of my favorite things that you do, and of course, I love it all. Like, you've been such an amazing, an asset to the community, just as far as like your mural work and that kind of stuff. But I think one of my favorite things is when I saw your performance art. That's like I think is that a newer thing for you? Because that was new to me, anyways.
Yeah, well, it technically not new to me as a creative person. I
Sure.
grew up doing a lot of theater, dance, choir, all that. It's more so new as an adult doing it publicly.
Yeah.
You know, and doing it in these like larger formats where it's, you know, more public and more personal.
Right.
So I think before, like, I've played music in groups where it's very specific. I did like music for like yoga classes, like those kinds of things. And doing this expression where it's more about like getting intimate and talking about, you know, real stuff.
Yeah.
That's a little more new for me.
Gotcha.
So thank you though.
Yeah, and it's such an honor to see her do this because it is so intimate. And I've told you this before, I know I have, where I'm like, I just don't understand how you can get into that zone where like nobody else is around and you're just speaking and acting like you know, dance as if no one's watching, like you truly do that. So yeah, how do you get to that place? And also, if you don't mind describing a little bit about what the performance art looks like to folks at home that haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are great questions.
Thanks.
So, I think part of it is my personality.
Yeah.
You know, like if there's good music playing, I'm gonna dance no matter
You will,
what.
and I love that about you too. I feel that you've come up to me several times and been like, and I'm like, thank God, someone. Okay, cool. So you always are there to dance with. But anyways.
Always. If you need a dance partner, I'm your girl.
Bam.
So I think that's like number one is I feel maybe it's my own like I think as a child, I was always really like, you know, hyper. I feel like a lot of us like artists, artsy kids were just like hyper kids that were like, I was always talking and like jumping around and doing stuff.
Not me.
Yeah, okay.
I've never been a hyper person.
Yeah, this is sarcasm.
No, not at all. Yes, it's sarcasm. Do you see this person? You'll get to know me, you guys. It's intense. So carry on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
But you get it. You get it. It's just kind of part of, I think, the way that some of us are created. Yeah. As creative people. So when it comes to how I get into that space, you know, over the years, I realized that we all have these places of connectivity with each other.
Yeah.
That like we all go through different kinds of heartache and pain and traumas and tribulations. And even though my story may look a little bit different, may have different nuances and details, I think just the core emotion shines through. And I've learned that over the years, especially when I like the music that I love, the movies that I love, poetry that I read. I'm like, these are people behind, the screen or the page. And vice versa, I feel like, well, if I'm taking in this artistry from others, then my own artistry can become a reflection of that as well. Like basically, I've been thinking about like my creative process as my like I'm adding to the conversation. I'm adding to this like dialogue of human experience.
Cool.
And so even though in some ways it's like, yeah, I'm blocking everybody out, but I'm also like trying to really bring people into this narrative.
Yeah.
Because like in my like mind, body, spirit, I'm like, I know you guys are feeling this too.
Yeah.
So like, let me just get into the truth of this. Even if I'm talking about something like very specific to me,
Right,
like I know other people can relate, and as an Asian American, Chinese American, I feel like we, and a Chinese American woman, that we don't necessarily have the mind frame of this is acceptable and this is allowed.
Yeah.
So
Ooh,
I'm also like wanting to break that.
Yeah.
I'm like born and raised in Arizona. I have this different perspective. So I guess it's that like, if not you, then who? Like kind of feeling that I have where like nobody's gonna tell your stories, so you gotta tell your own story and like create your own definitions and identities, etc. before other people do that to you and place them onto you. So in some ways, by me doing this performance work and putting my art out there, it's just like me wanting to acknowledge my own journey.
Right.
Just as much as I want to hear other people's stories and journeys because it like invigorates me.
Yeah.
I'm very distracted by this beautiful cat.
Oh, that's my cat. My kitty. Hi, Buzz. Get in
What
here,
a
Mr.
beautiful
Buzz.
kitty.
Mr. Buzz.
He's just gonna sneak around.
Oh my gosh, he's so beautiful.
Oh, you can't see him?
I can't see him.
Darn
Oh.
Barely over. I mean, I can. Oh, there you go.
There he is. Hi, Buzzy.
We'll come in eventually. His name is Cocaine, actually.
Oh, beautiful.
But I call him Buzzy. I don't know
Buzzy?
why.
Okay.
Like
Well,
my
'cause
buddy,
when
like my
you're-
Buzzy boy.
Well, and then,
And when you're
Yeah.
doing blow, like you're buzzing around.
Yeah, exactly.
He's actually gone through a few names. His nickname was also his name was Blow for a while.
Makes sense, yeah.
What's the other one? 8 Ball was a
8
good.
Ball, that's a good name.
Yep. I mean, it's exactly what he looks like. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dusty.
yeah, he's a nasty boy. Yeah, he's just outside all the time and he's gross. But anyways.
Wow, yeah, right. Sorry,
We'll interview
distraction.
the cat next. We'll interview the cat
Very
next.
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I actually have a question. You were speaking about, you said, if not me, then who? And I was thinking, I feel, this is like I'm like outing myself so bad, but I feel sometimes too, like, if I don't do it now, someone else will. And like obviously won't tell my story, but someone else will get to that expression. You know what I'm saying? Like, do it before I do. Do you ever have that feeling of like, and does it like tap into ego? Like, I feel like I shouldn't feel that way. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I do feel like not a competitive feeling. It's not that, but it's more just like, oh shoot, like I gotta step my game up and get it out there so that no one else does it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, what comes to mind is collective consciousness and how oftentimes when idea is like spawned from the ethers and like enters into like one person's mind, other people catch on to it, right?
Yeah.
From like seemingly like just different places in the world, you know? And so I think one component of like once an idea is in your mind and going for it is that like absolutely yes, somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
And not to say like you have to be the one to do it, because I also believe that there's this like infinite array of creative input that exists because we continue to expand, the universe is expanding, we're part of that expansion. So it's more like what do you want to be that person?
Right.
So there's also like sometimes I have to take a pause when ideas come and I'm like, is this for me? You know? like even with like projects that come up, but that's something that I'm learning right now for all of you that are like wanting to be artists. There's a point where you have to really pick and choose. Like in the beginning you want to say yes to everything because because really I still think I'm still an emerging artist. I've been, doing it now in Phoenix full time for the last like 2.5 years. So I'm still learning the like nuts and bolts of like how do we do this thing that called like living an artist's life. So now I'm at this point where I really have to whittle it down.
Yeah.
And know like what are the things that make me excited.
Right.
As opposed to doing these jobs just because somebody's like, oh, you'd be great for this.
Right.
And we're almost become like puppy dogs. We're like, oh really?
Yeah, exactly.
Me? You think so?
That is such an accurate depiction of how it is, like golden retriever status, just fully. I'm learning that too. I don't know how. I mean, this is like a new thing for me, but I feel like I just like kept saying yes to every single thing, and just recently I've been like, okay, slow the heck down, and it's hard to do that. Like, how do you know what things to say yes to, or do you know? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and also when you say that, by the way, thank you for coming here. I feel really cool that you were excited to be here. And I know I pulled you out of bed, kind of. Sorry. God.
It's all right. It's all right. Sometimes you just gotta like dust yourself off and hop on the couch.
Yeah, hop on the couch.
Yeah.
But someone else's couch. So it's harder. Because otherwise, if you hop on your own couch, there's so many metaphors here.
But this is like a cool person's couch. Somebody's couch you want to be on.
Did you hear that?
So,
did you hear that?
Yeah.
Say that again. It's a what person?
It's a cool person's couch.
Said Shela. Got that on film. All right. I can die now.
Stop. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, oh my God. Okay, so getting back really close to your, really quick to your performance art. Basically, what it is you, go ahead and describe that because I don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, it varies kind of between what the particular content is. And again, it's something that it's like new for me. So the process, I will say this. I'm realizing I can choose to make it as grueling as I want it to be.
Yeah.
And the performance that you had watched was my process of getting to that point of performing it was grueling.
Yeah.
Because I essentially was doing like a ton of internal excavation, and I would like record myself when I would hit these like trigger points inside of myself and just have these like sobbing moments on the camera just with myself without any intention to like share it. It was more for me to like, I don't know, take stock of like, oh, these things live inside of me that I haven't let out in any way, in any proper way, So to me, that's part of why I'm choosing this like commitment to being an artist, because I think this is just my opinion. I feel like it is the way for me to be able to acknowledge these parts of myself that are not easy to address in other ways. That like words can only accomplish so much versus movement and poetry and songs.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And visual stuff. So it's a combination of all of it,
It's so interesting. I don't know how you do that, like getting in front of an audience and just getting into the zone like that is so hard. I hate public speaking. Believe it or not, I actually really, really hate public speaking. Like, this is cool, and I know this is public speaking. Is this public speaking?
Technically.
Yeah. But like in front of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
having people just staring at I'm terrible at that. So like, congratulations.
Well, I mean, I did do a lot of theater growing up. So,
True, yeah.
So audiences, I learned at a young age. Like I remember doing like piano recitals and stuff when I was like 5 years old. And just, there's a point where I think that adrenaline becomes energy that you get to use for whatever it is that you're on the stage to do.
Cool.
And I like the experience of being nervous and then channeling it. Because a lot of nerves, it's like nerves make your energy go like this and like raise upwards. And so part of this like human alchemy task is to bring it down. And so a lot of what I do before having to perform or to, anything that has to do with being in front of like a large audience is like I gotta take some like slow deep breaths and just like funnel everything down and like really feel the roots from my feet and like yeah, just grounding down into the ground. Yeah, and taking these deep breaths of like knowing why I'm here.
Yeah,
and
reassuring yourself, like what's confirming.
Yes. Yeah.
With yourself, reaffirming, I guess. That's interesting.
Yeah, and trusting yourself. I think sometimes part of the fear is like not trusting our capacity to show up and do the damn thing.
I know. And I look back on like footage of even these interviews or, anything where I'm on camera and I'm like, why didn't I just go for it more? Like people wanted me to, like why didn't I just, so like having that awareness and is like vital to doing any sort of performance or even just visual art in general. Yeah. To putting yourself out there, I guess, and expressing yourself to a wider audience. But
you know what's coming to mind is comedians. I have so much respect for comedians because they bomb all the time. Like that's like the key to becoming a good comedian is just like learning to carry on even if people boo you.
I know.
So that's the thing that I'm learning too is like, yeah, sure, I may have done a performance that I didn't feel great about, but does it really matter?
Right.
I did it. It's more about the act of doing it than it is about like, did you do it right? Did you do it exactly how you practiced it?
Right.
Like,
is it even like an art night or something that like isn't as poppin' as usual because they're poppin'. Like it's crazy. But sometimes if it's not that way and it's just a more chill atmosphere, like I feel like I did something wrong. And then I look back on it and I'm like, no, absolutely not. It was just a different energy and people loved it. And I did too. Like I I almost like try and convince myself to be upset about it. And then and then I have to think about it and be like, why am I upset? Is it just am I even upset, or is it just this concept that I'm fearing? You know what I'm saying? And then I realize like, no, I'm actually not upset because I don't need to be. So
yeah, exactly. It's some like
interesting.
arbitrary idea of how we think something's supposed to be versus like this idea of being very present and allowing whatever is gonna happen happen.
Yep.
That's what I'm really grateful that I had things like I was in something in high school. I went to Dobson High in Mesa, Arizona. Shout out.
I'm from Massachusetts. I don't even know what she's talking about.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. If you're from Phoenix, Mesa.
Actually, I think my mom lives near that school.
Okay,
it's in Mesa. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Interesting. Yeah. Now I know.
Yeah. So we had this thing called Friday Night Live, which is very similar to Saturday Night Live.
And Art Night Live.
Yeah, similar but different because it was sketch comedy. So we would like do videos and we would do just like, things that were about just like improvising in a lot of ways. So and then I was also like really big into speech and debate and more on I call it like the competitive acting side of speech and debate. So that also taught me to just keep going with it, like even if you fumble on a word, like use that to your advantage. You learn to think on your feet, and that also requires time and experience, and the willingness to like make a fool of yourself sometimes.
That's so good.
So it's also like learning to laugh at yourself, and like not taking yourself too seriously, like all these things that are necessary to just function, I think, like, and to keep going as a creative person. Otherwise, like, you'll be eaten alive.
Yeah.
Because I've almost done it to myself many times.
Overlooking something and like fearing it too much, or even with this show, like I was talking to Michael behind the camera. He's going, no, that's whatever. But I was saying how like I'm really like putting myself out there. Like if I were watching the show, I'd be like, that girl is so annoying. Like I have that fear. Like I have that fear. And not necessarily, I'm the shit. Like don't get me wrong. But also like I have to convince myself. But like there is that like, oh God, what if like I'm going on TV for people to judge me, you know what I'm saying? And there's always that fear, and so you can have the ability, I guess, to talk yourself out of certain things rather than just letting it go. And like we have this tendency sometimes as humans, I think, to like fear those bad things and not focus on the things that we do have, as Ti said. And like, yeah, we can't. And so I think that's something that you and I are both pretty decent at doing. Is just like, oh no, we're just gonna go for it because there is a good outcome. Yes, there is about outcome. Like, why even focus on that though? Like, who cares if it? So.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I think this interview personally is like super inspiring, I hope, for people that are watching. Just because we have so many visual artists and musicians and stuff that come through, but not a lot of performance artists. And I think that that's doing performance art specifically, and it also pertains to any other form of art. But you have to acquire that sense of like just self-confidence and reassurance that you're talking about right now. So
Yeah.
I really hope people are getting that.
Yeah, but this is the thing that's interesting is like you can have a sense of what is true for you and right for you in what you're creating and you're doing, but I don't necessarily think of myself as like super confident.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm
Totally.
just a person that likes to express. And I don't necessarily, you know, like I still have like a serious inner critic. And this idea, like what you were just talking about, just like, oh, I don't think that people are going to want to watch this, or they're going to think like whatever. But so much of that is because we're always going to be our own worst critic because we know, hopefully, we know ourselves well enough where we can see the ins and outs and the nuances of like where our, you know, our faults and things are. And I think that's part of what helps too is if you're taking enough time to get to know yourself and you know, like I know I have certain quirks and things that, you know, I know what my strengths and my weaknesses are.
Yeah.
To an extent. I feel like I'm still figuring out all of the nuances. But when you know what those are, then I think that also becomes this ability where, like, yeah, I know that I'm not great at these X, Y, and Z things, but I'm going to keep doing this thing that makes me happy and knowing that, like, over time I will improve.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, too, that I think about a lot is, like, I'm not in this creative world for this like momentary experience of being a creative just now. Like I want to think about the expanse of my life. Like I want to be 80 and painting and singing and dancing and being weird and like trying new things out. Like who freaking knows? Like
when I retire, whatever that means, like in my like 50s, I want to go to beauty school. That's like my next thing. Like I really want to do like crazy. Like do you know Lucy? I Love Lucy. She got like how she does crazy art hair. Like that's what I would love to do something like that. So yeah.
But I could see you doing that.
Yeah, I know.
You could totally do that now though.
Oh, fully. But I also need to finish some. You know what I'm saying? Like just over the span of time, like I'm gonna be doing the shit till I'm like.
No, for sure. That's so. I will say this. As somebody who loves to do all the creative things, I was doing a lot of ceramics back in 14, 15, 16. And it was one of the things that I had to tell myself I needed to stop something. And so I stopped doing ceramics in my head thinking like, you know what, when I'm like 50, I'm going to be like all about clay again.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's gonna
So
come
like,
full circle.
yeah,
and you, like,
exactly.
Pick up right where you left off. It's like riding a bike, kind of.
Yeah. So I mean, I miss it a lot, and I think about it a lot.
Ceramics.
So maybe I'll bring it back sooner because it is. It's also like, so this is the other component too. Is even though we may have this like idea of what the future holds, I really believe that plans are made to be broken.
Fully.
Because we can set a goal, and I'm not saying like don't follow your goals. I'm saying like you can set the goal as this like guiding post, but also trusting like that sometimes things do need to shift, and like maybe your spirit is asking you to go here.
Yeah.
But your like mind is like set on going here. But so I'm trying to navigate that a lot recently. Is like there's this story that I have up here in my mind, but what about like my spirit and my heart, my soul? Where is that trying to take me?
I totally agree. There's something about goal setting. And for me, I'm just like, what do I want to do in the future? Exactly what I'm doing, but more of it. Like, I'm very happy and satisfied with what I'm doing. I would love to be able to do it for thousands of people or whatever it is, you know? So I do agree that there's something with goal setting, like it's a sensitive subject. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
yeah. I mean, like have these like grand, beautiful visions. Maybe this is a better way to say it, where we can have these like big grand visions of where we want things to go, but the path to get there is the part where we gotta allow
wiggle room.
Yeah, the magic of the universe to do it for us. And
Exactly.
that's what I've been trying to remind myself when I get like down in the dumps about like I want to be there, but I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like just keep trekking. You'll
Just
get
be
there.
yourself, and the art will follow. Will come out of you. You exude it anyways.
Exactly.
So. And speaking of that, I'm just very happy. Again, like I said before, but I'm very happy that this is where our path has led us. Yes. I feel like we're on a date right now. Also, I think I'm gonna start calling these interviews dates. Date night. Yeah. Like, would you go on a date with me? And then it's just that, but it's on camera. That's the catch.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's fun for you, but now I'm getting sweaty in the pits because dates make me uncomfortable.
True. Shit. Maybe it's supposed to be like that, and you're like, oh, it's actually a good day, or so, I don't know. We're working the kinks out here, folks. This is episode 1, okay? So.
Yes, exactly.
I love you. It's been a pleasure as always. Always fun hanging out, and thank you for stopping by. And I can't wait to see you at the next art night or just art event or just like at a cafe somewhere or something.
Heck yeah,
that's a library.
Beauty of being out here is I love running into my friends.
I know.
It's so nice.
I love this community. And I hate that word. I hate the word community. I don't know. It's just like so overly said. Like I wish there was like my
neighborhood?
Yeah. We'll figure that out.
Art pals?
My art pals.
Yeah.
We're going with that for now, folks. That's round 1 on that.
I love my art pals.
The first iteration. I love my art pals. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. Thank you all for tuning in with us and watching our awkward date. It wasn't awkward until now, so we're gonna go.
Bye.
Bye. Toodles. This is fun. That's how we'll exit every single fucking interview. Just with the robot. The requirement.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Okay, great.
All right, let's go ahead and cut, Brett.
Oh my gosh.